Dome Keeper is a resource management mining slash action roguelike and is honestly one of the more unique roguelikes that I've seen in quite a while. This game came out in 2022, so it's a few years old at this point, and I'm quite surprised to see that not many people know of what I consider to be this hidden gem. Even though I did talk about it on my most recent tier list, I wanted to give it a little bit more information, more details, and more thoughts about this game, especially since I actually think my thoughts have changed a little bit since then. And I wanted to try to just bring more attention to Dome Keeper, so let's just jump right into it. So in terms of gameplay, the game is divided into two very distinct sections: the mining slash resource management part and the combat, because effectively, yeah, there's combat in this game. This reminds me of a lot of games such as Steam World Dig or even Terraria, but the mining is really its own separate kind of mode. So let's talk about the resource stuff, right? So the resource and the mining, you're just going to be going downwards from where you spawn each run, and you're going to be looking for specific resources, which include cobalt, iron, and water, I believe. Those are the three only types. So one thing that's quite nice in this game is that there's only three kinds of resources. You don't have to worry too much about having to deal with what's after diamond, what's after platinum, that kind of stuff, because since this is a roguelike, you're not going to be spending hundreds of hours on just one save file just getting stronger and stronger. No, you're only going to be getting stronger and stronger in the span of 30 minutes to an hour plus. So I do appreciate how everything is kind of constrained into just three sort of materials that you can find across each run. That being said, that doesn't mean that there's only going to be this to find in the mines. You're going to be digging and exploring and finding a lot of different things. These include, an area where you can transport minerals straight into your base, some open-ended mines, or even just some little upgraded dudes, like if you feed something, then you get this little companion that's going to help you collect resources, or gadgets and actual full-on upgrades that are just straight up like from the roguelike stuff, where you might now get a drill that you can start to upgrade, or a iron worms that are going to start digging things for you, or just an upgrade to your dome or the weapon you're using. So there's a lot to explore, a lot to find within the actual digging area, and every run is going to be quite different in that regard, and that's thanks to the really decent amount of content that this game has, which we'll talk in just a moment. I do want to touch on the action phase, right? So once you've gone and you've collected a bunch of stuff, mined, every few minutes you're going to get attacked by monsters, and you're gonna have to go all the way back to your dome and use whatever weapon you started with. And as of today, this game has received quite a lot of updates and now has 4 possible domes to choose from, which are your weapons. You've got your laser, you've got your sword, you've got your artillery, and you've got a Tesla dome. And each of them feel drastically different to play. They're all kind of their own mini game. And that's the beauty of this game, is that when you start the game, you can really choose from a lot of different pre-run customization. You can choose your dome, you can choose your primary gadget, and you can choose usually an additional gadget, as well as different game modes. And all these make so that every single run is kind of its own game. Because if you start one run with the laser dome and the drone yard guys, which will pick up minerals for you, as well as like the iron worm gadget that's going to get you to get more resources from the start, and you're going to do a guild assignment that's actually all about getting a bunch of iron, that's just a completely brand new game, which is really where the game shines, in my opinion, is that you have all these options to start off with at the beginning of every single run, which makes the replayability quite impressive. But I'm jumping ahead. The gameplay in terms of the combat is quite nice. It's simple. You do have to get used to the weapon you're using, because each of them, again, are simple, but they still require a little bit of getting used to. The laser dome being the default and the easiest to use, but the sword, artillery, and Tesla, all of these are pretty simple in concept, but you really do need to go through a few fights to really grasp how to handle those domes correctly, which is nice. And again, each of these domes can be upgraded a bunch during your run, and actually everything can be upgraded a bunch. All the resources you're collecting are used to just upgrade everything that you have at your hand. You can upgrade your own character, you can upgrade your dome, you can upgrade the primary gadget, and you can upgrade any other gadget that you'll be finding throughout the run. The great thing about this game is that even though a run can last upwards of 1 hour, you're only going to be like leveling up maybe half of the upgrades given to you. So it's not like you're always going to be ending with exactly the same kind of loadout, even if you happen to have similar gadgets to a previous run, because you have to be quite selective with what you want to upgrade. And that's really cool. I didn't even talk about what the actual goal of the game is, but basically, you're digging, you're going to be fighting monsters, eventually you're going to be finding a big artifact that you have to bring back to your dome. Once you do that, you win. So the idea is just to find that one thing that is in the level. Now, that's the main relic hunt, and I think most guild assignments, which are your different modes of games that you can play for, also tend to have this as the end goal. But again, if you go back to the hub, and by the way, I mean, you can see this hub is awesome because you're actually already playing. Even though this is a menu, you're also just playing the character, which is quite nice because it allows you to just get a little bit comfortable with the controls just here by being able to dig some stuff in the hub, even though it doesn't actually matter, but kind of get a gist as to, you know, how the game's going to be if you haven't played in a hot second, bringing the resources here and all. It's quite immersive to have everything here and actually move your characters. A small thing, but I do appreciate it. And all these guild assignments, which again are all your different modes, usually in a lot of roguelikes, I don't tend to think that modes are like part of the core gameplay, if that makes sense, right? Usually it's just the relic hunt, the normal mode that is, you know, default. But the guild assignments actually allow you to unlock things like permanent progression, which means you actually do want to do those. And they, again, all of them make it a brand new game. So it's really cool. As you can see, I haven't really done many of them, but it shows that there's a lot to do in this game. If you like this kind of gameplay, you're going to be sticking with this game for a while because there's just so much to try. And that also includes the new character. I mean, I don't know how new this is. This new character plays drastically different than the other. I just hope that they're going to be adding more characters. I know it's a lot of work. Clearly, it's not just like a little difference. It's like brand new game mode, right? So it'd be nice to get another one, and I'm assuming they might do that. They are still doing a few updates. They're talking about doing a multiplayer mode. I think I saw that there was a trailer for that a few months ago. So hopefully that actually is going to happen because it sounds awesome and it makes sense. This is the kind of game that could really work with multiplayer. So yeah, the gameplay is pretty straightforward in terms of the digging. The combat is simple but still requires, you know, some getting used to. All the different gadgets you'll be encountering throughout the run make runs quite different from one another. Overall, it's really fun. Now, that being said, there is one thing I do need to talk about, which is that obviously all these different aspects are quite simple. And do they become too repetitive? It depends, because one of my major issues with this game is that finding the relic to end the run is completely random on the map, right? You might find it within 20 plus minutes or an hour plus, which has happened to me multiple times. And sometimes when it takes a very long time to find that ultimate relic, it can drag severely. I don't know exactly what they could do because you can choose the map size, but also depending on the game mode, you don't always have that flexibility to know whether you want to go for a short or a long run. And I do feel like the long run just get really tiring. If you do get lucky and you get the relic at the right time, it feels awesome. It feels like the pacing was perfect. But that doesn't really happen all the time, and it's happened to me more than once, and it just kind of made me want to stop playing after I spent over an hour not finding the end of the run when I was just tired and there wasn't much else to explore, to find, or that was exciting. So that's the one thing. Pacing can be a little random, if that makes sense. The digging can be a little repetitive if you have one of those runs, but otherwise, thanks to all the different gadgets and all the different upgrades that each gadget can have, and you have to choose which one you want to focus on, I'd say that yeah, it has great replayability. And also, let's not forget that the audio visuals are incredible. And I think that's one key part of this game, is that this game has a really good blend of relaxing gameplay and stressful moments where you have to go back and protect your dome from all the monsters. If you don't come back in time, you're like, ah! The music is really soothing, really nicely composed, and it's not always there. It comes by when, you know, after a few minutes of no music, or if you're about to do something important, or when the monsters attack, it does get a little bit darker, but it's not crazy. It's not going to try to say like, careful, warning. It's just a little sinister tone. And when you're done with that, going back to the soothing music, it's awesome. I love the vibe of this game, and just playing it just casually is so enjoyable. And that's one of the nicest part of this game, is that it really does get the whole mining aspect very soothing, which I think, a lot of people that play Terraria, Minecraft, even though you can have some stressful moments, the exploration and just the digging is a very relaxing kind of gameplay. A couple additional random notes before finishing off this review. First off, every time you complete a run, the game allows you to unlock one of 3 random loadouts, or like just gadgets or domes. So like all those things I've been talking about, all the content, you can't have access to everything at once, which I think makes sense because you do have to get used with the core gameplay before having access to all these domes and gadgets and stuff like that. And so every time you complete a run, you just unlock 1 out of 3 randomly. And none of them are stronger than others. It's just different play styles, I guess, which you don't really get to see very often. Usually a lot of meta progression stuff, the later stuff is more powerful when you unlock it, but here everything is kind of even. The laser dome, the sword dome, all these domes have potential, and same for the primary gadgets, same for the additional gadgets. Everything is the same power level. So whenever you're done with a run, you just unlock a new kind of gameplay, which is really fun. It keeps me wanting to come back and just unlock the next thing so I can try it out, then win that run to try out another one, then win that run, and rinse and repeat. It's a really nice cycle. And the other thing is, while I do love the amount of things you can upgrade, depending on the different gadgets you can find, they are always the same upgrades. Now, there's a bunch of them. There's a lot of possible paths, but if you've played with the laser dome, you know exactly what the upgrades are. Obviously, I know this is not what the game was going for, and it would have asked for a lot, and that's just purely my own brain that loves roguelikes, but I kind of wish there was some sort of like a system to have some random upgrades here and there every run. So like your laser dome, you would have your main upgrade tree that you have currently, but maybe something could also make it change some stats here and there randomly depending on the run. That's a little far-fetched, I get it, but I guess my reasoning behind that is that once you've played with all the different domes and gadgets, you know exactly how they're going to function, and they're always going to function exactly the same, which is fine, but I just like having more stuff. Honestly, even though this game is a few years old and hasn't been getting that many updates recently, it is still planning on getting something soon, and I just want people to be aware that this game exists because it's very unique and it's really has its own thing going for it. It has an awesome charm, and it's really fun. I really do think this is a super solid hidden gem. Even though the gameplay can be repetitive, especially if you get a very, very slow run, it's really fun, and it works really great on the Steam Deck, which is where I played it mostly. So as someone who loves unique takes on roguelikes, I'm gonna give Dome Keeper like a solid 7.5 peppers out of 10. And yeah, that's about it.